This first presentation is on Chapter 4 in our textbook, talking about constitutional law and the Bill of Rights. Now, you've undoubtedly heard about the Bill of Rights. We talk about it a lot. But basically, the first 10 amendments to our Constitution. We base a lot of our rights that we talk about in our country on these first 10. Again, many people haven't even read all of the first 10. So we're going to review them briefly because you're going to be using these on your assignments for this week. Originally, the Bill of Rights were protections from interference by the federal government. Now we've kind of piecemealed and applied it to the states as well. So the First Amendment, you hear about this one probably the most. Between the First Amendment and the Second Amendment will probably be a tie. But rights to religion, speech, and press. People saying you're violating my First Amendment rights, usually they think of someone that is being censored, that isn't allowed to speak, that isn't allowed to put what they want into newspapers, etc. Also ends up being expanded to involve creative rights to do things that you want to do creatively. The right to assemble peaceably and to petition the government. Think about what would happen if you did not have these rights that are stated in the First Amendment. Not that we didn't have the right to religion, the right to free speech, the right to the press, the right to assemble, the right to petition the government. We have all those rights. Think what would happen if we didn't. Now, Second Amendment, probably the second most popular, the right to keep and bear arms. Even that simple explanation is being debated. Some people think that it's the right to a militia. That's a fun conversation. The Third Amendment prohibits lodging soldiers in any house without the owner's consent. That one seems a little bit silly to us right this moment. But back when people were writing the Bill of Rights, they were remembering when the English could show up in a house and say, oh, we're going to house our soldiers here. And not just like house, not really just house cats, but they would live in your house. You'd have to feed and take care of them, wash their clothes, clean up after them, whatever else, and that was the right of the government to house their soldiers if they wanted to. We don't have to worry about that, and that's not one we even confess very often. Fourth Amendment prohibits unreasonable searches and seizures of persons or property. This is where we get the fact we need a search warrant to enter my house, for example. That's the Fourth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment, the right to indictment, due process of law, fair payment when private property is taken for public use, and prohibits compulsory self-incrimination and double jeopardy. So when you talk about somebody taking the Fifth or taking advantage of their Fifth Amendment rights, that is this compulsory self-incrimination. Without that, you could be required by law to admit when you've done wrong, which would make an interesting little vicious circle about, well, you said that you did it, so we're going to convict you, or you lied when you said you didn't do it, and so you were going to convict you of something more. Instead, we are allowed to remain silent, which is very nice. Some of the things that would affect business people in here, the due process of law, we do have to go through the entire process. We can't just be convicted off of appearances. Fair payment when private property is taken for public use. That's the eminent domain conversation. In other words, if they're saying we're going to make a freeway through this area and we need to take away some of your land, well, then this would say that the fair payment is required when we're taking that away from you. Again, a right that was not available under English rule, they could just take it. Now, the argument that comes up now, and it's a fairly passionate and heated argument, is how much is fair payment? Typically, if you are the private business owner, the private landowner that has a piece of land that's being taken away, you're not going to believe that what they offer you is fair payment. That's kind of an agreed upon thing. So, you're not going to be happy about it, but at least you do get some kind of payment for it. Double jeopardy, trial for the same crime twice, can't do that. If you've been acquitted of a certain crime, even if you were to come out right afterward and say, I did it, they cannot try you for that. That one doesn't come up very often, but it is a very interesting right. The Sixth Amendment, right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury and with counsel. This is, think of how our world would be without this one. Number one, a speedy and public trial means we cannot take somebody and either say, yes, we will try you eventually, and 5 years later finally get around to it while they've been sitting in jail the entire time. That would not be fun. A public trial, meaning that you can't do this behind closed doors. In other words, hey, I think you're guilty of murder. Let's go round up 12 people and convict you overnight before anyone even knows what's happening. That we can't do. An impartial jury is the reason we have the jury duty, or the entire jury selection process, where you have just regular people, hypothetically, coming into a jury that we test them to try to make sure they're as impartial as possible to judge the case. And with counsel means that you couldn't have somebody trying to defend themselves against the government with no representation, or at least no legal experts to help them. That again would be something that happened. Imagine going up against a corporate lawyer or against a government lawyer who you've been a lawyer for 20 years, and the first time you've ever had something go wrong, things are not going to go well for you. So part of our Constitution, part of our Bill of Rights, is that we do not allow that. Seventh Amendment, right to a trial by jury in a civil case involving at least $20. So we can have a jury in a civil case. Eighth Amendment, excessive bail and fines is the most cruel and unusual punishment. This is often something that is judged by the legal field itself. We're kind of comparing one thing against another and saying, is this cruel and unusual or is this not? Generally, we go with what is traditional or what is relative to what has been done before. Ninth Amendment, people have rights in addition to those specified in the Constitution. And 10th, those powers neither delegated to the federal government nor denied to the state or reserved for the states or to the people. This is kind of a catch-all. It's kind of fascinating that this is. It's not one that we talked about very often. It looks like those powers that aren't given to the federal government or denied to the states, so unless we've given it to the federal government or said the states can't have it, those rights are reserved for the states or for the people themselves. Interesting that nowadays we kind of tend to go the other way and assume that the federal government has all possible power, when in fact we've stated specifically that those powers are not belonging to the federal government unless we have specifically delegated it to them. And that's a shame that we're heading in the direction. The right to free speech. Going back to the First Amendment to clarify a couple of things as to our class. Also protected our symbolic speech, gestures, movements, articles of clothing. So we take a fairly broad, well, not fairly broad, extremely broad interpretation of the speech to include almost any kind of expression. Now, that has been extended to corporations. Businesses also have protected political speech. Not to the degree of a natural person, but we actually have some protection as a business with our speech. As happens a lot with people in legal, they'll reference a case that happened, which means that this was something that came in front of a court, was tried, and we have a resolution to that now becomes basically law, saying, yes, it is, because at this point, in this case, Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, find that, yes, they do have corporate political speech also protected. Now, there is a point of unprotected speech. There's some more of these. We look through the slides on this chapter. I just want to cover defamatory speech real quick. This is either libel or slander. Slander is spoken, libel is written. That if we are writing something that is both incorrect and injurious, meaning it causes damage, about someone, we can be prosecuted for that. That's defamation. Now, it has to be both incorrect or false and damaging to that party for them to get really wound up and legally entitled to have some kind of compensation. That does mean that if someone is saying something about you that does happen to be true, you can't sue them for that. It's kind of funny. If it turns out that you are in fact doing what they're saying you're doing, then that's you can't go after them for that. Or if it's something that they say about you which is wrong but doesn't hurt you, you can't go after them. But that is something that comes up. It's something to be cautious about. Is anything with defamation. So anything that is incorrect and injurious about somebody else, they can actually take legal action against you. That's the end of this presentation. You are going to be using this in your stuff for this week. So please go back in the book. This is chapter 4 to review this in greater detail before you do your assignment. But I hope that this helped just a little bit.